need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
We're lucky to have him. He's Representative Tim O'Driscoll. Representative, how you doing today?
I am well. It's happy spring. Here we are, right?
Yeah, I declared winter was over. We're supposed to have 86 degrees down here tomorrow.
We're supposed to be 68, so
nice.
Of course, you always have to be just a little better than us in southern Minnesota. Way to go, Al.
Always I tell people, going to retire down south, Blue Earth, Minnesota. Southern Minnesota is where it's at. It's 40 degrees difference. The next day we're at like a high of 46, but I don't care. 80 degrees on me will make me feel better. It's not going to change the way things are going in Minnesota, sir. I am so highly disappointed with the idea that Minnesota could still be a 50-50 state at best for the Republicans. Here's the latest thing that's driving me nuts. Evidently, data matches, it's called, for the Department of Human Services. There is a law, has been, I think, since 2017, but there's a law that says by September 1st, DHS is supposed to take a look at all the programs, match up those people that are getting benefits, and find out who still deserves them and who may not. And that report's supposed to be given out. In, I want to say it was 2020, the last real time they did this whole thing, 30,000 names came up that may have been fraudulent, may not have been big names, shouldn't be there. So then, according to the law, then they send out a note to these 30,000 people and say, hey, you're going to have to reapply because we think there's something wrong here. Not one person reapplied. They caught 30,000 people either dead or got caught. I ain't going back into that. They stopped doing reports, sir. They haven't done a report since 2023. It's in law. It obviously helps, and yet we don't do it. How is that even possible, sir?
Well, first and foremost, you talked about 2017, right?
Yep.
That law is done in the books. Next time you see a Republican candidate for the Minnesota legislature, thank them, because we were in control of the House at that point, and we put that law in place so that at least you have an opportunity to look at this stuff. And it's wrong, and this administration has continued to fall down on the job and not follow through on this stuff. And if we didn't have the 50-50 House that we have right now, I am convinced that we wouldn't even know what's going on right now, because the administration would put the sign out closed for business, and they would just be behind the doors doing whatever they want, and we would have no accountability whatsoever. The fraud committee that Representative Kristen Robbins is chairing, thank goodness that she's there, and they're constantly looking at stuff and bringing stuff up and trying to hold people accountable, but it's like trying to, grab leaves in the fall wind. It's just, they're all over the place, and it's where do you start? And the administration just says, what blew me away, and I'm a little off of the topic, but it's still on topic. When the governor sat there and said, well, yeah, the reason we're talking about fraud is because we're starting to prosecute people. No, that's actually not why we're talking about fraud, Governor. We're talking about fraud because we are bringing it to your attention, and this is your answer. Well, of course we're talking about fraud because we're trying to prosecute people. No, we had to bring you to the table to get this done. Otherwise, you would not have done it on your own. And to say you would have, your past track record proves otherwise.
Who wants to listen to a man who literally started out his press conference last week saying, I was told this was going to be a problem before I even became governor? So he starts his talk 7.5 years ago. I was told about this. Here's my answer and how I want to fix it. Too late for me, sir, but let me throw some more at you if I can. The head of the Department of Human Services, this Gandhi gal, she was chief compliance officer. That's where she started here. She knew this rule. She knew this law, and she didn't follow it. And now she's running the place. She is the same woman who was chief compliance officer and is now running the place. The OLA came out and said, in this autism fraud we're seeing, we knew about kickbacks, that parents were shopping their kids around, whether they had autism or not, and getting anywhere from $300 to $1,500 a month in kickbacks. And this gal in charge. The folks at DHS said, well, we didn't really understand kickbacks was a bad thing or that it was illegal, but we're on the same sheet of music now. Am I really supposed to swallow that, sir? I'm a radio guy. I know kickbacks are a bad thing. What?
Yep, pay-to-play kickbacks, it's all the same thing. It's wrong. It's the things that drive people crazy.
But nothing changes. This woman from chief compliance officer to deputy commissioner to interim commissioner, now with all this stuff, she's the commissioner. You can't be any worse at compliance. You can't be any worse what she's doing, and now she's in charge.
And he had a chance to appoint anybody in the universe to that position, but he chose her. Right? Tom Clancy couldn't come up with a novel that's just crazy.
So here's what probably bothers me the most. So we sit here and we talk about this day after day on this program. Some people say you talk about it too much. But yet, when you look at polling in Minnesota, all of these people thoroughly believe that they will be in charge come November. They're going to get back. What was the story today on Lieutenant Governor Flanagan? According to KTTC, they reported that Flanagan has only convened approximately half of the committee meetings she was required to do by state law as lieutenant governor. No one's doing anything they're supposed to do, and everybody keeps promoting themselves up. Now she wants to be my senator? How is she not a part of all this craziness? She didn't even show up to the meetings.
Yep, and you are exactly right. That's the kind of reverb we're hearing in the hollows of the state capitol is that, next year when we're in charge with everything, Minnesota better sit down and look at this. If you thought that things are bad now, just wait. Oh. Just wait, because the first trifecta they had in 13 and 14, which was my second term in the Minnesota legislature, we thought it was unhinged and going over the cliff. Then here, the 23-24 time that they had it, they doubled down. And they're going to double down on doubling down this time. Yeah. And you're not even going to recognize your state. Taxes are going to go up. Services are going to go down. Fraud is going to be pervasive. And they're going to pat themselves on the back and go, isn't this great? Minnesota wants us to use their tax dollars to be able to keep reelecting us to do crazy things. And it has to stop. And people keep coming to me and saying, well, can't you stop the governor? The governor has a supplemental budget where he wants to spend more money in this deficit. I can assure you, as a co-chair, I'm spending no money. Yeah. No money. As a matter of fact, I'm contemplating cutting some of these agencies that are in my jurisdiction because they're so bloated.
Well, and we've got to get some sanity, because here's the governor. So for folks who don't know, Department of Human Services Medicaid budget, 80% as Ed is actually run by management companies like Blue Cross and that sort of thing. No one is saying anything about that 80%. It's the 20% that the DHS is actually running, where we're having all these problems that we're talking about every day. And the governor's answer to the problems, let's take that 80% and bring it over to the Department of Human Services. That'll make it work. Like 5 times more money will work better for the Department of Human Services. Is he cracked?
You bring up an interesting point. In committee, I hear the Democrats rail constantly on, these CEOs of these big companies, these big insurance companies, they make multiple $1 million a year, and they don't settle claims, they don't do stuff. You just pointed out that 80% of this is administered in the private sector.
Yep.
And I'll guarantee you that if they spent $1 or did something with $1 that wasn't appropriate, the administration would be on like a cheap suit.
Oh, yeah.
But yet we can drive around with a semi-truck and pitch dollars out of the back of that trailer at people, and somehow that's honorable and lauded. And they're just a commissioner making $190,000 a year. Well, let's back this up a little bit. They're giving your tax dollars away for things that are not permitted under law, and somehow that's laudable. I don't buy it for 1 minute.
Oh, it is absolutely crazy. And again, you have the OLA gal. She has not said anything against these managed companies. Didn't say anything. There was any issues going on. You have the Optum report, had nothing. They said nothing about those managed care guys. You have the O'Malley guy. We look into it. Those guys are doing their thing. I actually read a story where sometimes they'll lose $1 million and they eat it because they're businesses and they don't want to lose the deal, because they're obviously making more than that. So they'll eat it. On the 20% side, we flush money goodbye. And all that happens is people get raises. We have one more example of that. I got to go to break, sir, real quick. I think you and I could have saved Minnesota $15 million in a heartbeat if we just went. What was that speakeasy you showed me in St. Cloud? What was that? Blue?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What's that called?
The Blues Bruce.
The Blues. You and I could go there and save the state $15 million. We'll talk about how right after this.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
A as in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
Lucky to have me is Representative Tim O'Driscoll with us. Representative, I think there's so much waste and so much money being, like you said, pitchforked out the back of the truck running down the road that people can't even keep up. University of Minnesota ask for about $500 million every year. They need this, they need that, they need the other thing. And I guess it's University of Minnesota, I get it, but they're a land-grant university, they don't have to tell us anything, it's a whole thing. But they just spent $15 million to a company to come up with the slogan, Leave a Future. That's 3% of the entire budget they gave to a company to come up with Leave a Future. Whether you like it or not, I don't really care, isn't my point. The University of Minnesota has a marketing degree program. They have professors of marketing, PhDs making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They have students that want to make their mark in the marketing world. Could you not go to them and say, guess what? Here's the deal. We need a new slogan. Any one of you come up with the slogan, your college is free. Your family's college is free. Your children can have free college. We won't get to $15 million. And they don't. They just throw money to the side. Because I'm telling you what, there'd be ad agencies that would go after that for a whole lot less than $15 million, sir. Just your thoughts on Leave a Future, University of Minnesota.
Well, my first reaction to this, to your question and to this topic is the University of Minnesota must not have confidence in its own program, so they have to hire an outside agency to do something like this. And by the way, $15 million. I bet I could find 15 people
Yep.
who'd take $1 million of that and be happy in retirement. I mean, we're talking, retirement money here for people. And just think about this. They could have made this a recruiting tool for them. We're going to go to our marketing department and we're going to charge them with the opportunity to be able to come up with a slogan. And if we select or choose one of the slogans, that student, that work group, that whatever is going to get free college like you're talking about. And just think about that. You're applying for a job, and on your Vita and your resume is I came up with the marketing slogan for the University of Minnesota, and if I can do it for them, I can do it for you, right?
Yeah.
But what did we do? We just turned around and gave $50 million of money to a group that by all measures could have come up with that. That's $5 million a word, by the way. Leave off future. $5 million a word. Gosh, I could have come up with something like that for half that price.
Half. This is my point. You and I could have sat at the Blue Goose or whatever that thing's called, had a beverage, come up, brainstorming with some friends, and maybe we'd hit upon something. Maybe not. But you're only out a couple of drinks. You're not out $15 million. It's like that. It's not even their money. That's the problem.
Well, and I will tell you that in the higher education world, there are, the Minnesota grant program that we give money to college students to be able to go to school, and I'm fully behind this, right?
Yep.
Because it actually allows a kid, if they want to go to like St. John's or St. Ben's up here in central Minnesota, private colleges, they have money to be able to do that. Because I'm a very big proponent of diverse options in education. Homeschoolers, parochial schools, faith-based schools, charter schools, right on down the line, right?
Yep.
Competition in the education makes things great. How many kids could have gotten grants to go to college for that $15 million that we spent $5 million a word on? Leave a future. Wow.
Well, and talk about that. Think of the number of people who could get full rides for those three words. Off the University of Minnesota, any of the colleges you just mentioned, free rides. But no, we piddle it away. And then, side note, the NIL money last week's story was that the University of Minnesota is not going to tell us where they're spending the $20 million in name and image money through the sports program. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What if you gave it all to one kid and the girls don't get any of it? How is it they can tell us no? They use the land grant thing. You know what? Then stop coming to me for $500 million. I say turn it off until they open up.
Agreed. And I've never really been a fan of the University of Minnesota from the perspective that they come to us and they go, poor me, we need money, we need to educate this. We're the university, we're the state university, we're Minnesota, we're the thing. And then when we start asking them questions, like, well, you can't ask us questions on that. How dare you? We're a land grant school. It's like, then don't come to me and ask me for money when I ask you how you're going to spend it, and just trust us. No, I don't trust anybody who's spending government money right now.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you look at money like that. Back to the $15 million. You're telling me of the brilliant doctors that we have running that place, right? They're all doctors in something. No one on that board of directors, no one running that place thought about using their own marketing department? That didn't come up?
Well,
that's crazy.
I'll tell you something else that $15 million could have been used for. We've got it, and I will give the University of Minnesota props on this. We have the medical school that's in St. Cloud that's in conjunction with CentraCare right now.
Yeah.
And that is a brilliant move, by the way, folks. To have a medical school in Greater Minnesota where you're training doctors and nurses and professionals, because where they train and where they do their residency is usually where they stay. Yeah. And this is get docs out in Greater Minnesota where we desperately need them, instead of sending our kids to the metro, or quite honestly sending our kids out of state, because the college grads are seeing it. They're like, well, why do I want to pay 8% of my income to the state of Minnesota here? I'm going to go to South Dakota. I'm going to go someplace else, and then never coming back.
Yeah. I got to go. We're out of time, but how many doctors could we make with $15 million? That's a good point. Representative, love having you on the program. Always a pleasure.
Have a good one.
He's Representative Tim O'Driscoll on the Al Travis Show.
At LGH Wealth Management, our mission is to create financial empowerment through